So good night, everyone. Welcome to Guru Football. Tonight we have a new segment for you all. This is Guru Transfers. Tonight and going forward, we are picking positions that each team needs to strengthen for the upcoming season. Tonight's team is the current European champions, Real Madrid. So let's introduce the cast for tonight. Look at on your cameras. So we have Vic,
Good night. Good
our
night.
resident. So everybody tonight is our resident Real Madrid fans. We also have Smiley.
Good
And
night.
we have who you can see at the moment. So guys, take it away.
So good night, fellas. Good night. So you all hear me?
Yeah.
So we're looking at Real Madrid's team. As we know this season, Real Madrid usually go with a squad of 25, right? And in that 25, you have 3 non-European players. So now there's going to be a lot of changes to the team, to the squad as a whole this season. We already saw the signings of Tchouaméni and Rudiger on a free. And we're basically just looking at other areas in the squad that we may need to strengthen and that we think we should strengthen and before the transfer window closes in about a month and a half time. So, what positions y'all think we should look at mainly?
So if we look at the positions of the players that leave, right, you have Marcelo at left back, you have Gareth Bale at right wing, and you had Isco as a centre mid, right? But I guess Tchouaméni kind of filled that void for the centre mid position, although different type of player, but players will shuffle around. So if you look at the left back,
We also have Luka Jovic that left to go
As well.
Fiorentina.
yeah, and I think Mariano expected to leave as well. So if you look at the left back, you have Fulan Mendy there, and although he is rumored to be possibly sold if a good offer comes, most likely he'll stay, right? And
Right.
then, I guess to say to back him up, but Alaba probably have a shot to start over him, so you don't know. But to back him up, you have Alaba, and then you have players like Nacho who could even fill if necessary. So I think the left back position pretty much secured, and well, I think we're looking at 5 centre backs this season coming with Vallejo joining the squad. So that more or less covered. So in the defense, the only thing that really possibly could be filled, and it remains to be seen because I think Odriozola will be going with the team in preseason. So it depends on whether he's staying or not. Would be the right back position because we had Lucas Vázquez deputizing last season. And while he did quite a good job, I think he did really, really well. You'd probably want to get a right back coming in who could even contest Carvajal for the starter position because Carvajal works best when he's, challenged for that. So I would say right back would be the first one we need to look at. I think, we could go through midfield slot by slot, but I think the midfield pretty solid right now moving next season. And then Vinny and Benzema kind of have that front parts on a lock. And with, Rodrigo and then possibly Hazard and, other players possibly filling that left wing, the 2 potentials would really be the centre forward and right wing slots, where even though Rodrigo and Hazard may be able to fill the centre forward slot, sometimes you just genuinely do want a centre forward on the pitch at all times in a match because you need that focal point. Even though you have those false 9 players, they add a lot, but sometimes you're just missing that slight little thing that the centre forward would add. So I would say centre forward and the right wing slot. So those would be the 3 I guess we could look at tonight.
And Timmy, you have anything different?
He had to fall out. So you're
Oh, okay. All right. So let's start with the easy one. We know Gareth Bale has left, and we know Marco Asensio is likely to leave as well. Asensio last season, he had his best tally. I think it was something like 12, anywhere between 12 to 15 goals. So with Asensio and Bale leaving, well, Bale already left to go LA Galaxy, I believe.
Speaking
Or is
Spanish
it?
as well, the ultimate troll. Love to see it.
No, it's not Galaxy, it's the other one. But anyway, he went to LA and Asensio likely to leave Milan. I saw, yeah, LAFC, thanks, Quan. And Asensio likely to go Milan to try and defend the Scudetto with Brahim Diaz. So I think right wing is a major concern because that would leave Rodrigo as our only out and out right wing, and Rodrigo is not even a proper right
He's not
winger. He's better
proper
on the
right winger.
left, and I would say he's even better through the middle as well. So
Yeah, I think right wing is his least best position, and he still performs decently there, very well compete in the Champions League run, but
and
he's not out and out. Yeah,
Fede Valverde is not really a right winger, even though he played really well in the Champions League final. Against smaller teams, against teams that sit back and with a low block. You don't really want Fede Valverde crossing in at the right wing. So
yeah, and I think sometimes he do offer that width as the other right wingers would.
And luckily for us, there's a world-class right winger currently who wants to leave his club. That's Serge Gnabry from Bayern. What's your thoughts on that?
So I think if I'm not wrong, he could play on one-on-one wing, right? So that's just versatility there, right off the bat. So whenever you're getting a player, if they're versatile, that's always a great plus. And as you said, he is world class. He has been putting up some numbers, and I don't think that that's just due to the setup alone. Like I think he is a quality player, and I think we could possibly get him maybe around 50 or less than 50. And if it comes down to like a deal we get like with Cruz, where Cruz wanted to leave and we got him pretty cheap, that would be very, very good for us.
I think with Gnabry, there would be a lot of competition. I know a lot of teams would be interested in him. He would want Arsenal would be looking to get him back. As well as I think Barcelona looking for a right winger, and Chelsea would be looking for a right winger as well. So there would be a lot of
Chelsea
competition.
Chelsea just looking to see if anybody interested in somebody to go after them right now. So definitely.
So there would be a lot of competition for Gnabry, but the price I do think would cross 50, 60. He would want a hefty wage though, and I think that is the only real sticking point. But I think with the amount of wages that we freed up with Gareth Bale, with Isco leaving,
Marcelo
leaving,
Jovic.
I think
Jovic was on high wages as well.
Yeah.
And then
So
you
I
have
think
Asensio and Mariano might leave as well.
we could actually afford to give him a bumper deal like we did with Alaba, and that would really convince him to choose Madrid. And if that's the case, I think we should definitely go for Gnabry because, he's a world class winger, and I think he just offers something a bit different, like Asensio's consistency and his ability to disappear in games, especially in games where there's like a low block and he don't have any space to do anything.
So
Gnabry's.
you can't really fault Asensio for that too much, right? Because remember, Asensio is not really a left winger, a right winger as well, right? Asensio is best through number 10. So that's the problem we've been having. Besides Gareth Bale at the club recently, we never really had a right wing for the longest while, right? So Gnabry could fill that void.
So I agree. I think we should definitely go for Serge Gnabry, and I think he would really fill a hole that is there in the squad. And yeah, I think that's pretty much self-explanatory. Players that we get from Bayern are usually quite good. You look at your Toni Kroos, your David Alaba type of players. So.
Yeah, and I think he's like 26 or so.
He's 26, yeah. So he's entering his prime.
That's pretty young. So I mean, you give him a contract, and if he shows himself over the next 4 or 5 years as a great return, even though the wages might be slightly higher, that's fine. He demands such a wage. He could command it.
Yeah,
So
and he would be a show starter. So Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much self-explanatory.
The
But
only issue, I guess, with somebody as his caliber coming in is probably stunting the growth of Rodrigo a little bit. But at this point, Rodrigo could play across the front three and
right,
do
so
it. But
as we go to that, right? Rodrigo is an interesting character because he is good right across the front three, not just at right. I think he's least effective on the right wing,
definitely,
you know,
definitely.
because when you play him on the right wing,
Anytime he plays on the left, he sees this glance and this spark
yeah,
in him. You know.
when he plays on the right, he's furthest away from the goal. So I think that Roger getting a proper right winger would actually allow Rodrigo not only to play in the other two attacking positions, whether it's left wing, rotating with Vinny, or being a backup for Benzema. If we chase in a game, he could come in. If we go to like a 4-2-4 type of formation, I think he would get a lot more exposure playing in that type of role rather than as a right winger where he's far from the goal, expected to, put in crosses and stuff like that, So, yeah, so speaking of him, I don't mind seeing Rodrigo as our backup center forward, but we just got rid of Luka Jovic, so
And Mariano possibly.
he was playing for Madrid.
I think he has 1 year left on his contract or so, and even though he might not leave because he doesn't want to leave unless he gets that thing. His time at the club is up, so even that happening, yeah.
No, Karim Benzema not getting any younger, and I would expect him to play less and less minutes, especially given we would want him to be fit for the World Cup, especially given he would want to keep himself fit for the World Cup, and the World Cup is in December, so there would be ample opportunity for rotation and ample opportunity for Benzema to be rested because we would not only want him fresh for the second half of the season, coming down to March, April, May, where things get tight, and playing in the World Cup is not easy, it's not ideal. You're playing a game every few days, you have to be intense all the time, quarterfinal, semi-final, round of 16 type of thing.
And I think a lot of people say, okay, well, World Cup is only a limited amount of games, right? It's less than 10 games.
It's a lot of games in a short span of time.
Even though that a lot of games short space of time, you have to remember that is also very, very mentally tasking, right? Because the amount of mental effort you put in there, because that same amount of games across another competition, those are spread out, right? But the focus and the pressure and everything that you have to face over that short space of time is drain players, and players will be physically fit and fine, but mentally they're just not there.
Actually, and the season starting back in December, it not even like as soon as World Cup finish, I think there's like a weekend and the season starts back.
Yeah.
And I think the players that go to the World Cup would need some time to rest. So what this allows for, it actually allows for us to bring in a striker, somebody who could fill a gap in that center forward area, kind of get the minutes that Luka Jovic was getting, maybe a little more, given that Benzema would obviously need a lot of rest this season, especially if we want him in top form for the latter half to the business end of the season. So one striker that I think would be a low-key, really, really decent option to go for is actually Amine Agueri. He's a 22-year-old 6-foot striker. He plays for Nice. And in Liga, from between Nice and Lyon, in 80 appearances, he has 22 goals and 16 assists. And that's playing for Nice and Lyon. And the thing about Guerri that I really like is actually when you look at him play, he reminds me a lot of a young Karim Benzema from in Lyon, from those early days in Real Madrid. If you used to look at Madrid in 2009, 10, 11, around there, Benzema wasn't the poacher that he is today. He was a very active, type of striker. He used to love to come deep and get the ball and run at players and go wide. He used to love to dribble. His movement was excellent. It was always excellent, but he was never inside the box type of player. He always all over the place. And there's this one goal that I think really epitomizes Karim Benzema, and it was from his first season when he just joined Real Madrid. And we all know Guti Hernandez, Real Madrid legend. We all know about the backheel assist he had to Benzema, where the ball was played over the top, Guti just a no-look backheel into Benzema. But if you think about it, Benzema was the striker. Why it is Guti was further forward than Benzema, you know? And it's because Benzema used to love to drop into the hole. He used to love to drop deep and let the number 10 and let the other players push on ahead of him. That is the same type of football that Amin Aguero plays. And I think that those similarities to Karim Benzema is really stark. And I think that if it is you want a Benzema type of striker, I think he's almost perfect. So in Ligue 1 last season, he played all 38 games. He had 10 goals and 9 assists for Nice, right? Now 10 goals, that's not much, but 9 assists, you know? And
So you're saying 10 goals not much, right? But I remember, like, people try to compare these young players to the likes of Haaland and Mbappe, and these players
exactly.
are definitely already generational players, you know? You can't get each player's like 10 goals and 9 assists for a 22-year-old. That is sensational, I would say, you know? Like, that's up there with very good quality. If you look at, you know, players like Vinny, you know, sometimes you just need some seasons to get more experience in order to put up more numbers, right?
And that's why I think he would be a really smart pickup for Real Madrid, because he wouldn't cost so much. I transfer marked value him at, let's see, transfer marked value him at 42. I think we could pick him up for anywhere between 45 to 50.
I think we could pick him up from 35 to 50.
And as a backup to Benzema, 22 years old, he has that ability to grow into his position, into those boots, and develop alongside someone who used to play just like Benzema, who came through the Lyon Academy just like Benzema. You know,
And I don't know,
there's a
like,
lot of similarities between the two, and I just think that he would be a really, really smart pickup. And at 22, if it doesn't work out, you know, maybe at 24, 25, we could still get back a nice sum for him as well.
And I don't know his personality, right? But I would like to think that he would be, you know, not commanding like a very, very high wage, you know. Real Madrid have any wage structure, he'd probably be any lower end of the wage structure. And
I
he'd be
think
willing to rotate, you know.
Yeah, that's it. I think he would be willing to rotate. And he also, another player that we might have put up for the center forward is Nkunku. But unlike Nkunku would want to play every game right through, start to finish, right? He is of that caliber. He's of that, you know, he wouldn't be a rotation player. He isn't a rotation player. If any team buys Nkunku, is to start him. With Amin Aguero, however, I think he would be a little more used to getting rotated, learning from Karim Benzema. So I think he would be a nice little pickup as a backup striker, and I think that it would work out better, you know, as a Lukajovic replacement.
So just before we move on to the right back position, I just want to throw in a little cheeky mention here, because we were chatting with Kwan before, and Kwan was mentioning that Timo Werner will probably be leaving. So, I mean, if Timo Werner leaving Chelsea, I would gladly have him at Real Madrid for at least a couple of years to see if that works out there, because I think his time at Chelsea doesn't reflect his quality. I think he's a very quality player. So, just wanted to cheekily throw that in.
I think he's a quality player, but I do think La Liga is the league for him. I think he needs to play in a direct system, a system where he could get space behind the defenders. And in La Liga, you don't get that space. You don't get to run behind a defense in La Liga. is a lot of low blocks and is a lot of possession-based football. So I don't think Timo Werner would be the right fit for a possession-based team in La Liga. I think I don't know, teams that play on the counter would love to have Timo Werner, but not for La Liga, I would say. But
Yeah, but we also play on the counter as well. So we have to
we play on the
consider that.
counter. We play on the counter in the Champions League. We don't play on the counter in La Liga.
Yeah.
We-
Well, it depends
we
on if you're
usually-
playing him as a winger or not, because it's sometimes you could get a lot of space on the wing. But I think we could probably move on to right back.
Yeah, we have Vinicius, we have Hazard, we have Rodrigo, we have Serge Gnabry. Hopefully, I don't think Timo
I
Werner
think that's
would
a
be.
hopeful one.
So yeah, so that brings us to the final position in the team, and this is a position that has there's a lot up in the air when it comes to right back, right? There's been reports recently saying that Alvaro Odriozola may be given a chance in preseason and may be given a chance in the team. However, personally speaking, I think Odriozola, he had a lot of chances under Zidane. He had chances, going before that. He went on loan to Bayern, he went on loan to Fiorentina, and he didn't exactly pull up, many trees. He didn't exactly shine the best light on himself. And I think given Danny Carvajal's heart condition, given Danny Carvajal's injury record, I think it's pretty concerning that Lucas Vazquez is our only really option at right back if something, catastrophic were to happen to Carvajal. We know Carvajal can't stay fit for an entire season. That I think at this point we just have to accept that.
The thing about Odriozola is, I don't doubt he's a quality player. I've seen him had some quality matches here and there. But the best time you see the quality coming out of Odriozola is when he have consistent game time. And he's definitely not going to get that. So,
and not only that too, I think the thing with Odriozola, he's a good player, but I just don't think he's Real Madrid level. And I think that
he's possibly Real Madrid level going forward, but I think defensively not, because I think the last stint he had at Real Madrid, he was available and fit, and he had players who were wingers and midfielders and stuff playing at right back in front of him.
I think he was in Real Madrid and Vazquez was the right back. And I think that's
I think Valverde and, if I'm not mistaken, Marvin Park and players that those was playing right back ahead of him.
So right back is an interesting position, but I think the best right back for us to go for, and again, he's valued at 25 million and he's 22 years old. I think 35, 40 million would sure to get Pedro Porro from Sporting. I think he's an excellent right back. He has a lot of Champions League pedigree, and he's a very, very attacking right back. In 23 games last season, he had 4 goals and 4 assists in the Portuguese league. And in the Champions League, he had a goal as well. He's very attacking. He would fit, Real Madrid style, where our right back tends to push up and cross. He's Spanish as well, and I think he's a shoo-in for Spain's right back berth. He's a contender for the right back slot in the World Cup as well. So I think Pedro Porro would be the player to go for. And he has a lot of developing to do still. But I think rotating with Carvajal, getting those minutes in the league and the cup games would do really well. And that way, when Carvajal starts to slow down inevitably in the next 2 to 3 years, we would have a player who's been here for a couple of years, who's learned the ropes and ready to take over that starting booth.
Or even if he comes, he might, extend Carvajal's career, because Carvajal thrives under competition, So
exactly
that would only be beneficial to Real Madrid, because if you have Carvajal fighting at his world class level, where he was possibly a shout for the best in the world at some points, at his position, getting a player to come in and play underneath him and actually displace him possibly, That's very good, you know. And I think right back is a position where there's a lot of young players that we could potentially bring in. There's a lot of names that we could call there, but I think this is probably one of the best ones in terms of fit. And you know, again, he seems like a player that would be willing to rotate and learn and grow. And if you look at the recent players that came in, you know, you have Kamavinga, Germany, and these players, they're young, as well as, you know, they want to start, they want to take on that pressure, they want to take on that responsibility, but they also see it for what it is, you know, that is not something that they could just come in and do what they want and demand what they want. I think some problems with the likes of Jovic and stuff was somewhat an attitude problem because there were many reports of the non-Real Madrid-like behavior happening. I'll just leave it at that, right? So,
and
you know, these players, Pedro Porro and the other one for the centre forward, you know, these players seems to be the ones that, you know, will take it for what it is as a learning opportunity, a chance to grow, shine, and, you know, show the best work that they can do and get what the best they can do, right? Because I see Kamavinga, you know, potentially wanting more time this season, and he probably gets some more time, but he wouldn't get, you know, a full starter, and he'll respect that. So that's the type of player you want, and, you know, Pedro Porro, the fit at right back would be the best.
yeah, and I think one thing, if you have to look at how we built our team over the last decade, you know, everyone talks about the legendary 2009-2010 window where we signed Benzema, we signed Ronaldo, we signed Kaká, we signed Alonso, etc., etc. Everyone looks at that window and say, "Oh well, we were set for life," and you know the reason why we were able to have such a low net spend is because we spent big in that window, etc. But if you look at the type of players that we brought in the stars in Ronaldo and Kaká. We brought in the functional players. So over the next couple of windows, we got in Khedira, we got in Ozil, we got in Di Maria. You know, the players who would work in the background to build our team up. And I think that's the type of system that we should do. So we already have our stars. We have Rodrigo, we have Vinny. Right? When Benzema goes, there will be a
Kamavinga
hole
and
to
Chumni
fill.
has as well. You know, I
And
think
yeah, and then the functional players, the Fede Valverde, we have the Camavinga, we have the Chouameni, we have Alaba, well, sorry,
Rudiger.
Militao, Rudiger, Alaba, you know. We have these Mendy's still young. We have these players that would do the hard work, run the hard yards. We have the stars. Now it's about supplementing them with more players who could develop. So the Benzema, you know, players like that could rotate, that could help the team as a group and help us to you know overcome. We are not Manchester City. We can have two stars in every position, even though we are Real Madrid, you know. So and
And
I
I think
think
for the Pedro Porro, you know, a win-win situation for us because he wouldn't cost much, and he would come in and we could see what we could do with him. And you know, if 2 to 3 years time it doesn't work out, I think Caval would still be there, probably winding down his career at that point. But
exactly.
you could have the likes of Vinicius Tobias that would join Castilla this season, and we could see the
Exactly.
potential that he has over the next couple of years in Castilla, and then probably even on a loan spell. And then if Pedro Porro doesn't work out, we could also bring back him now. You know, if Tobias works out, we could pull him in and sell Pedro Porro. And I think, you know, at 25 or something, he would be at a reasonable, you know, place, you know, to demand some kind of return on him.
So all in all, we could have gone with your Reece James at right back and your Nkunku at centre forward and stuff like that. But I think that, you know, we get 3 players, let's say total of 150, you know, 50 million for each of them.
That's pretty
And
high, but yeah. We'll probably get him
yeah,
in
but
120.
yeah, some around that ballpark. But those 3 players would help supplement a squad that's already developing, that has a nice rhythm and flow to it. And you know, I think At the end of the day, our squad this season, we just need to fill those tiny holes in our team that can become major holes if they are not dealt with promptly. So all in all, I think the three players that Real Madrid should go for would be Pedro Porro at right back, Amin Aguirre as a backup centre forward, and Serge Gnabry for right wing to replace Gareth Bale.
So if you had to choose one position that, if we have to sign at least one more player for this window, considering, let's say, we'd not count on Amar whether he stays or leaves, right?
It would
And
be
let's say
Serge
Asensio
Gnabry.
leaves.
It would be Serge Gnabry. He would be my number one choice, my number one priority this window would be the right wing.
Yeah, so my priority would also be the right wing for Serge Gnabry as well. But if we get a player like Pedro Porro, we could also possibly have some game time for Lucas Vazquez, Freddy Valverde, Rodrigo, split it up. I mean, it's not the best solution, but on that right side, we definitely need to reinforce at least the right wing. If we can't, then possibly the right back.
Yeah.
Because I think that's we always see it in most of the games. Like most of the times, you see all the possession goes through the left side and goes down the left side, and you really only have Carvajal as a wing on your right wing because everybody else goes there.
Exactly.
We don't have the quality.
So,
when Gareth Bale was there, you would see the switching between the right and the left and all of these different things, because he was a proper functional right winger. So definitely, if we could get at least the right winger, that'd be good.
So basically, all in all, Madrid need to reinforce their right side. Long story short. So I think that's about it for us from Guru Football tonight. Real Madrid's transfer window in a nutshell.